Hey friends, my name is Candace. I'm the mom who runs this account of Heatherly Fam Adventures. I've had a couple of folks that have seen some of my TikToks about breast cancer reach out and ask if I would tell my story. So that's what I'm going to start. I may not get all of it in today, but I'll give you a little bit of a glimpse of what has happened over the last 3 years or so. It also comes at a good time because I have my 6 month check coming up, a scan coming up on the 13th of January. So I will. That's always really nerve wracking for those of you who have been through something like this. And so, anyway, just to tell you a little bit about me, I was diagnosed at 35 years old, no family history. Pretty healthy individual at the time, and I had just had a baby about a year and a half prior to that, and I do think that has some connection to it, just based off of my own thinking. But when my husband and I had just celebrated our 10-year anniversary the weekend before I found my lump. We went out of town. We like to do Jeep things, so we went out to Pigeon Forge for a Jeep event, and we just had a good time and enjoyed ourselves, and then came back the following week, and on Friday night he worked night shift that weekend, and as I was getting ready for bed, I went to take my bra off and kind of brushed up against what felt like a pretty hard lump. And so I started feeling around and kind of decided to text him and tell him what was going on. And when I felt around, I realized that it was a very large lump. So I had pretty much did what you're not supposed to do and Google everything. I kind of at that point knew what it was going to turn out to be, but I wanted to get the verification, of course. And so I struggled with it all weekend. He and I both went back and forth looking up things, and like we probably should not have done, but it's just instinct. You want to know what it could be, all the things it could be. And so on Monday, I actually went into work and had pretty much convinced myself that I didn't need to go to the doctor. It was probably a cyst, and that I was just going to wait and see. Well, the ladies at work, who are wonderful friends, told me, no, you need to go get checked. And so I scheduled with my OBGYN at the time, and this was so I found the lump on May 21st, and then when I called them about scheduling, they didn't have anything with my doctor until July 1st, so keep that in mind. They asked me if I would be willing to see the nurse practitioner, and I said yes, I would be happy to see her if I can get in soon. They saw me the next day. So found a lump on Friday. I went to see her on Tuesday. When I was, and my husband didn't go with me. I don't remember if he was working or what the situation was, but he didn't go with me. So I went in, and when she started doing the breast exam, I will never forget this. She stopped and she said, "Oh my gosh, that's the size of a golf ball." And she immediately turned to the nurse that was in there with her and said, "You need to schedule this mammogram immediately." She said, "I'm going to give you the information. You go out to the parking lot and you call to schedule for a mammogram." And she said, "I'll put everything in," because I was 35. I was not of age to get a mammogram yet, and with no family history. So she made sure that was a priority. Of course, then we it took forever to get a mammogram. Finally, on June 1st, I had a mammogram at my local hospital, and and by this point, let me back up a little bit. By this point, I was pretty much like, I knew it was breast cancer. You have that instinct that that's what it is, and I knew at that point that it was. But then, you go do the checks, you go do everything. So I went in for the mammogram finally, June 1st, and then right after the mammogram, and I knew the lady that did my mammogram, so that was helpful. I didn't know her well, but I knew of her, and she knew of me. And she said to me, she said, just in case they say they want to do a biopsy, just know that it's not always bad. Sometimes they like to do something because they see something that they're not sure of. So it doesn't mean that you necessarily have breast cancer because you have a biopsy. But even then, I just knew. So right after the mammogram, they said, well, we want to do an ultrasound. So I went in for the ultrasound like immediately, and they had the breast image up on the screen, and I wish I would have taken a picture of it, but I'm a rule follower, and I was scared that I would get in trouble for taking a picture of my own stuff. But anyway, it had my both breasts backed up to each other, and like in the picture, and the right breast, which is the one that had the cancer in it, there was a huge round area that was not normal, and compared to the left breast, it was, I mean, you couldn't not see it. It was very clear. And so right after that, the radiologist come in and said he wouldn't even look at me. So again, another reason why I'm thinking, okay, for sure this is breast cancer. He wouldn't look at me. He comes in and he says, I think we need to see you for a biopsy. So we're going to get you scheduled for a biopsy. So fast forward to June 15th. So my biopsy was not scheduled for like another month, and which is not good when you're thinking that this is probably cancer. And so we get to I made calls. My mom made calls. We found somebody that could help get us in or get me in for the biopsy. So on June 15th, I went in for a biopsy. It was scheduled for like 8 o'clock, I think, or 7:45. And I got there like 15 minutes early in the waiting room, ready to go. And the nurse came out and said, hey, we're ready for you. We're all early, so let's just go ahead and do this. So, the biopsy took a little bit. It didn't take very long, but it took a little bit. And within they took 3 samples, and when we were done, before I got dressed, she looks at me and she said, the doctor looks at me and says, I have done this for a really long time. And I am 100% sure that this is breast cancer. 100%. She said, we'll wait on the official results tomorrow, that will come in probably through my chart before you get a phone call. But I 100% think it's breast cancer. So then I go and get dressed, and I come. She comes back in and she starts telling me all of the things that are to come, right? And then right before I left, she said, it's wild to me that you are so calm after me just telling you the news that you just got. And I said, well, I've known this is what it is since May 21st when I found my lump. I just knew it. And that's why I'm calm, because at this point, it had been almost a month and I knew what it was. And so I'd had time to grieve and to be mad and to move through all those emotions. So the next day, June 16th, I was on my way to work, and I got a MyChart notification. I pulled into the parking lot, and it said invasive stage 3B. No, I don't think it said the stages at the time, but it said invasive ductal carcinoma. And I actually had to Google that. I texted my mom and she said, oh, that's cancer. And I had to Google it and kind of go through that process of figuring out exactly what that meant. So I'm going to leave it there because I'm almost out of time, but I will pick up again with more information on kind of what happened after that once I met with the doctor and stuff the next time. I hope this is helpful. My biggest thing about doing this is to make sure that women understand what to look for, and that they do their self-checks and get their yearly mammograms, because it absolutely can save your life. And I want all of you who see this to understand that it's so important to have early detection. So please do that. Thanks.